Hey everybody, my name's Daniel and welcome to the channel Dan Has Fun. Here's what it says on the tin. We're just going to chill, play some videos, play some video games, just have a generally pleasant time of it. And I thought a nice way to start the channel off is with a very chill game. Mini Metro is fairly old at this point, a few years old, and it is very Zen-like in theory, except once you really get into it, it is anything but. It actually becomes not stressful, but intensive. You'll see what I mean. And before we start, what is this game? There's going to be different stations on a map of certain world cities, and the objective is to just make sure that people get to where they want to go. We'll open the game up now and take a look. We'll just start with London as it's the default city location, and we'll be going around the River Thames. So let's click play. We're just going to go into the average normal mode, nothing endless or crazy or extreme. So here's the start, and it looks very, very basic aesthetically, right? So we've got squares, triangles, and circles, and I'm just going to attach them all together. You'll notice there's now this little shape here. That's going to be the metro connecting together. Notice how there's another station here. So we actually made a second line. You start with 3 lines by default, but there's only so many trains available as well. So you've got to be very careful to manage the resources. And for example, if we look at the square up here, this is a square station, so somebody that wants to go to a square will get off here. But there was a triangle and a circle, because that's where one wants to go to a triangle station, one wants to go to a circle station. There's another triangle over there. Space to pause. And we only have a limited number of tunnels. So we have 2 tunnels. I'm actually going to lock that there so we can see the bottom of the screen. I actually like being able to see that. Personal preference, but I like it for sure. So we only have 2 tunnels. Every time a railroad or metro line, I guess, goes through there, as you can see, we now only have 1 tunnel. So you have to design it with as much efficiency in mind. And I will be the first to tell you, we're probably not going to be all that efficient. We're going to try our best. The basic gist, really, from a practical perspective, is that if you can, you want ideally a square in every separate line. I say that, and I don't even have that right now. I don't know a huge amount about this game, but typically when you talk about metro and train stations, circles tend to mean residential. So theoretically, we should probably see more of them. How true that is, I really don't know. Like I said, we're going to be finding out together. How long we'll be playing each individual game, I guess it's just going to depend by how it feels, what the game is. Certain games will be more let's play-y, some will be one-offs. We're going to play it by ear. There's really no set methodology to this, at least not in my mind. Maybe we'll evolve it over time. Was thinking about possibly streaming, but I'll be the first to admit, as a person getting back into this swing of things, I've not uploaded videos on the regular for the thick end of a decade. I didn't want to go too bold too quick. We want to take things nice and slowly, a bit like this game is right now. We can speed the game up, by the way. I'm going to put it into double speed because I'm just going to alternate between double speed and then pausing it when things happen, like the circle station there. It's probably just a little bit better to get the game kicking by a bit because there's not a huge amount going on right now. There's only so much you can do, and I'm sure there's a way to get it more optimized than it currently is, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So we got through a week, and every time you get to a new week, you get a new locomotive, and you get to pick usually between a couple of different options. So in this case, we get the carriage or tunnels. And I'm going to take tunnels purely because the way the Thames interacts with these lines means we're going to have to probably cut through it a lot. And that'll give it a bit more flexibility. Just going to pause that for a moment. And now it's possibly worth just building this from scratch. So what you can do, if you click on a line, you can click X here and it'll just cut the whole line. You'll notice in the top right corner, the train, the locomotive is still there. It will still finish the journey that it's currently on. But notice how there's 2 squares and 4 triangles. Yeah, the 2 squares are going to be happy, but effectively it's going to dump 4 triangles there because, well, there's no other line, right? So they have to go somewhere. We're also going to remove that line as well. So going with the logic I had before, ideally we want to try and get a square, because it's probably the most rare of the three starting shapes, into every loop. But we don't really have that luxury right now because of where it is relative to everything else. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a small little loop there, and we're actually going to loop it back in on itself, like that. There we go. For the sole reason that this is going to be pretty quick, so this locomotive is going to get to the square fairly often. And what we're going to do is we're going to have another line drop off in the triangle here in the middle, so that anything from this line that we're going to make over here could drop it off here to get to the square. It also means we will probably end up changing the direction of this locomotive just to be a little bit more efficient, but we'll deal with that afterwards. Let's hope I don't forget. In the meantime, we're just going to connect up like that, say. Again, we've got to be careful because that used up 3 bridges, but this is why we did this, so we have the luxury of then being able to create another loop. This loop is not attached to anything, though. So what we're going to do, you'll notice, hey, you can't have it come out here because it's already got an in or an out. So what we're going to do instead is connect that like that. Yeah, let's have it like that. And then let's have it cut back over there and then loop this way. There we go. So we don't have any spare tunnels. We don't have any spare locomotives. Let's see how this runs. It might run really, really poorly. But we got to have a small middle loop there because they have to get to the square. And ideally, the blue line would also be fairly short, but we're just going to have to deal for now. It's not ideal to have 4 of the same shape in a row, especially when it's triangles. So it could be tempting to zigzag, but then it's even less efficient as a loop, right? And this is where you got to think about it. And I'm probably not going to be, pro gamer here or anything, but it's certainly worth thinking about. Oh, we have a different shape. So this is a new shape. It's not a shape we have at all, but conveniently, because all 3 of our lines meet here, we're going to have this triangle station could potentially become pretty congested, but at least we have the ability to attach them all together. And I'm still keeping my powder dry with the remaining locomotive because we want to see where the busiest action is. I suspect it is going to be on the blue line, but like I said, I'm going to hold my powder dry just in case. We do have a circle up there. Do we want to increase the yellow line? Probably the yellow line has the most spare capacity to do that. Makes it look like almost like a Pac-Man shape, I guess, but isn't too wholly inefficient. So it's not too bad. But the yellow line is getting quite full. That square, on the other hand, does make this a little bit more interesting because right now we've got everything set up to connect so that the square on the right-hand side can get everything, connected. Now that we have a square on the blue line, we can probably expand. Is that red or is it orange? I really can't tell. I have no idea what these guys translate to, by the way, in the London Underground. I may have been born and raised in the UK, but not that location. So we're going to do that for now. We're still into week 3. We get another locomotive. Now we can get another line, so we can go for 4 loops, for example, instead of 3. Or we can go for an interchange. And an interchange, as it says there, improves the station's capacity and transfer speed, because the way that you lose in this game is if a station gets congested for too long, and then it's too inefficient, and your subway has to close, or your metro system. Do we want an interchange? No, I'm going to take a line for now, and then possibly think about how we're going to reroute this just a little bit to be, again, a little more efficient. But we're still going to keep our powder dry somewhat for now. I am going to put another locomotive on the yellow line, but I'm going to put it facing, going the opposite direction. Again, it's typically a little bit more efficient, and we're still going to hold off to see where the problems start so that we can react accordingly. Having another circle line on yellow is not ideal, but luckily we already got the second locomotive out there just to try and help out. So far, not too bad. We still have a spare tunnel just in case. That is a terrible location for a station to go, because we can't really take the yellow line down there because we only have one extra tunnel. So we're probably going to have to take this back. Actually, I'm just going to undo this entire line. I know we have a spare line, but there's not... I guess what we could do for now, let's put it back up. I was just thinking about it. Put it back up. We'll put in another line for now, just like that. It's not very efficient, but it's better than nothing. And I guess we should tie these back up again as a loop. I like to think loops are more efficient, but honestly, I have absolutely no idea. Not a clue. But we will see. That is also a pretty poor location to get a station. I guess what that would mean then is we would get rid of that line there. We are going to get rid of this line for a moment, and we're going to go over here, and then like that. Not there, please. Nope. Like that. This is actually quite an easy game to control. I'm just not making it look very easy to control. We do have an open tunnel this time around, so it is potentially worth considering something like this, just so that if we end up having some really obscure directional requests in the bottom left there, that at least we have a couple of different stations that it can go to by itself. We'll see how it goes. Another circle, not ideal. Like I said, I think the circles must mean residential, because you tend to get a lot more of them just from like the very brief time that I played, predominantly just to make sure that this recording would work. But no, so far, we're not doing too badly at all. And it tends to be when you get to about 150 to 300 passengers where you take a breath and you enjoy it for just a few seconds, and then everything tends to go peak tong. So week 4, got another locomotive. A carriage just doubles the capacity of the locomotive that you start with. Obviously very helpful, but I'm going to take tunnels because I can see already that we're pretty stretched to track infrastructure capacity, for lack of a better term. Another square is not inherently bad, but it's not particularly helpful for us in this situation, because now we have 2 squares that seem to be fairly rare, but they're next to each other. So I'm going to have the ready orange line deal with it just for now. And there's a triangle down there. I was just going to say, it actually looks not too bad, and then lo and behold, right? So we're going to put the triangle there, but we're going to back this up. So now that this line just has one of the 3 primary shapes that the game tends to hand you off the get-go. But again, so far we're not having too many jams. I think the orangey red line is going to get a little bit into trouble. So I'm going to put the spare locomotive there for now. I don't like... Oh, as soon as I did that... we run into problems. So we've got a new shape again. So we're going to clearly have to put the light blue line out there because it's the only thing that's got relatively low capacity. But now we have the problem where to get to the Pentagon, everything's going to have to go to the dark blue line at the square station. When yes, the square station does interconnect with all the rest, but that's not particularly helpful. And we can see that the lines get busier and busier as time goes by. The yellow line is getting a little bit busy. That is incredibly inconvenient as well. So we're going to have to just spread that out for now. Kind of making a slightly question mark shaped line on the far left. Not a very efficient one. That doesn't change very much though. It's going to mean there's more traffic on the line, which is unfortunate, but it doesn't actually really decrease the efficiency. But we are starting to get pretty busy on yellow. Luckily, the 2 locomotives are just about keeping up on that line. But our line on the left is going to be the real problem child, I think. Oh, we have another new shape in time for week 5. Kind of a teardrop, upside down ice cream cone. I'm not sure what to call it. Anyway, locomotive. And again, do we want a carriage or do we want an interchange? I'm actually going to take the interchange and I'm going to put it... Where am I going to put it? I accidentally unlocked that. That was not my intention. We are going to put it... I'm humming and hawing and I'm delaying because I'm really not sure where I want to put it. I'm thinking possibly the square between the two blue lines is the way to go. This is arguably the location as well. I'm going to put it here for now. We do have another locomotive, so again, I don't like not leaving myself a buffer, but I'm going to put the locomotive over here. I don't remember which way around it's going. Okay, so I'm going to have it go the other way. Like that. It's technically the same direction, but it's halfway up the track, which I think is perfectly fine. We'll change its direction if we need to afterwards, but I think it's perfectly fine. As more circles form over here, though, we're going to get more and more in the way of inefficiencies on yellow line, and ideally that would be two completely separate lines, but I'm not sure that we're going to be able to do it. That doesn't change too much. We're going to now have to connect up the teardrop line. I didn't do it originally because I didn't see any demand for it yet, but we are now getting to the point where we're just going to have to, and we're going to put it on the dark blue, the light blue, or the orange line. That's really the question. I guess we're going to put it on... I guess we'll put it on the dark blue line for now. That's the only way we're going to be able to do it. So, put it this way, we're not making particularly pleasing lines right now. We have got up to 430 passengers, which, considering I played this game a whopping one time, and I've seen one other person play a video of it, excuse me, is not too bad. But we can see the line on the yellow side there is getting really bunged up. And then we have another circle up there, which is incredibly inconvenient. But we're just going to have to go out there. We really don't have an option. Even another line out there, I'm not sure is going to be fantastically efficient because we've got so many problems on the yellow line. I actually wonder if I should have taken a carriage because that would very much have helped that line. I'm not sure if more locomotives will help so much as just more capacity. Oh, and there is what we were looking for. So when we have a really clogged up station, you'll see this little clock going. If it gets all the way around, you lose. We're going to get a new locomotive, we're going to get a carriage, we're going to pause immediately. Even though it's not ideal, we are going to put that on immediately. And I'm tempted to put a carriage on the blue loop in the middle. I think that's the place to put it, because that's going to be in the middle of all the action. Whereas, yeah, there's still a lot of traffic on the yellow loop, but at least now with 3 different trains going on, we should hopefully get something going. There's a little bit of congestion happening at the triangle here too, so ideally we might try and get, if we can get another interchange, that's where it's going to go. I did totally not notice that there was a circle down here on the bottom left, which is terrible. I guess we're going to have to do it like that. Can't go back, see? Yeah, I guess that's the way we're just going to have to do it. We really don't have a choice on that front. We do have 2 more bridges, though, so it is tempting to do this. It's a little bit more efficient than going backwards and forwards. My only concern with that might be that this blue loop, as a result, is so incredibly long that we might not be able to get around to the rare pentagon shape in time. We're going to play it right like it is for now and just see what happens. That has not helped. And because the dark blue line is so busy, I really can't have it go down there either. But it does suck that we've got pretty much just triangle and circle for 3/4 of the light blue loop. Especially now. That doesn't... It could have been worse for location, but pretty much any other shape would have been better than a circle there. Whether it had been a square or something like another... Oh. And speaking of other shapes, so I'm guessing this is going to be the plus symbol for the hospital, for example. Obviously, this is terrible as well. Luckily, it is adjacent to an interchange at the very least. But now what it means is this light blue line, which is not doing particularly well, has 2 unique shapes on it, which is certainly not ideal. And you can see the dark blue line that even though it has 2 carriages, there's just so many people having to go between it by using it that it's just getting clogged up. So we're definitely going to need, another one on that line. We can see the timers going there. Another locomotive. We don't have an option for an interchange. We're going to take a line. We're going to connect that up so I don't forget and then fail the game because you don't notice the stop because it's too close. We're going to definitely put that down immediately just so I don't forget to do it. Okay, so how are we going to redo this? I don't actually think the orange line or the yellow line can really be changed all that much to be more efficient. The dark blue line, not sure if that could be a huge amount more efficient. The problem is the triangle at the bottom. Maybe we can have that not have to be a thing that's connected. So if we do not like that, do that, and then not that either. It's very pretty green color though. I like it, but that's not what I meant to put there. Bye. Have it like that, and then we're gonna have probably the blue line get broken apart here. So light blue, we definitely want it to interchange at the square because that's where that's where the station that we've invested in is worth doing. I guess it would be something like this. We do have a triangle in the loop, so we don't have to connect it there. It's going to suck a little bit. Let's hope that doesn't time out and fail, but we should be okay because this train's going to the left. The only problem now is that there's only circles and triangles down here, and there's really no efficient way to connect it to genuinely any other shape. So I guess because we have tunnels for days, we definitely don't need any more tunnels anytime soon. That will do something, I don't know, like that maybe. Something like that. I don't really want to connect to that circle because then it's just going to go to 2 more circles afterwards, which is not very efficient. We'll try something like that and see what happens. I am a little bit worried that the green line is just going to get overwhelmed. There's stations having issues pretty much all over the map here. It might just be a matter of time before we lose, especially because up here this is where the failure is, and I don't really have a way of getting anything else to it. I think we might be screwed, but we're going to move this locomotive over here from orange for now, just to see if we can delay at least the inevitable somewhat. That's not an ideal shape of any kind. I'm not sure which loop's going to be the best one to grab there. I don't really want it to be orange because I just took a locomotive off it, but I don't think I have a choice. So we're going to do that, I guess. I can't think of a better way of doing it. I wish we had a more efficient way of using these tunnels, but I don't think that we do. A square on that line is not terrible. It's tempting to put it on the green line, but the green line's already so stretched with only 1 locomotive. But it would be the most efficient station to get there because there isn't a square on that loop otherwise. So I think that, even though it looks absolutely butt ugly, I think that has to be the way to do this. But we have to get another carriage or a locomotive on the green line, or we're just ready to fail. And the yellow loop's on fire, and that triangle actually spawned on the line, which I guess is fine. But yeah, this is getting pretty spicy pretty quick. Unless we can get through to Sunday, I think we're going to lose. Purely because I don't think there's a way of getting the station at the bottom manned. I don't think there's any way of doing it. And yeah, the yellow line's on fire. I think, guys, we might be doomed. Oh, that has just changed shape. So we do have a square on the orange line, which is fine and dandy, but I don't think it's going to matter at this point. I think we might be GGing everybody. Can we make it to Monday? Can we make it to Monday? Nope, we're doomed. Well, that wasn't a particularly great score. We didn't even get to 1,000. Yeah, that's not so good. But maybe we'll try this again. Maybe we'll try a different map. We'll see. Anyway, I appreciate you having spent the time watching this today, and yeah, appreciate it. If you want to throw it a like or subscribe, absolutely feel free. Be my guests, and be happy to have you join us next time for some more relaxing fun. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for watching the video.